Hi everybody. I just wanted to pop in quickly to say thank you so much to everyone who has sent messages and private messages through Instagram and Facebook and Etsy and all kinds of different ways, sort of like the I don't know, what do you call it, when you're checking in to make sure that that everything's okay. Everything is fine, and I apologize that there wasn't a Monday video, and I hadn't said anything about it last week because frankly I was completely expecting to put out a Monday video. But when I recorded last week, I sort of forgot that it was a holiday it's a holiday in Canada, bank holiday, Easter Monday, and all of the schools, government and everything shut down except retail. And so, my kids had a day off school. My family was still here in the morning from the Easter holiday. And, I just didn't get around to it. And so I didn't post a video on Monday. And then yesterday I got up and I wasn't feeling all that great. And so I thought, no one will notice, and I'll just post a video on Friday, usual Stitch With Me video. And you guys, some of you noticed. And so it is so appreciated that you took the time to check in on me and make sure everything is fine. And everything is fine. And so I'm feeling a little better today, and I wanted to pop in quickly and I had a couple of things to share. First of all, I had a finish, and it felt really funny having a finish and not sharing it with you immediately. I shared it on Instagram, which I love, but I love feeling like I'm having a conversation with you because I'm so excited about what I've done. And it's a small finish, but it's a finish. So I'm going to take the win. I'm going to put a picture in here because I am, as you can see, I'm recording in the car on my way home from grocery shopping, and I have to teach a flute lesson in a few minutes. So I only have a couple of minutes. So I'm just going to pop in a picture that I shared on Instagram of my finish right here. So as you can see, it's my hands-on design, the chalk, year in chalk, and it was March's month that I finished. Hooray! And so because almost 2 years ago I finished the April, I am ahead of myself. So I actually have gotten May ready to go. I am not using the called for gentle arts for May. I'm going to do a DMC conversion, and I'll share that with you next Monday because I am hoping to start that maybe this weekend. We'll see. I also have big plans for modern folk embroidery and shades of blue, which I have back out on my lap frame, and I'm ready to go. So this Friday, I'm going to continue working on my modern folk embroidery because I am loving it. So I'd like to really see a little bit more progress in that before I get loving something else. Might as well go with the flow. So that was the first thing that I wanted to share, was my finish and what I'm going to be working on Friday. The other thing that I wanted to quickly talk about today was the knitting tutorials. The hat. I wondered how the hat was going for everybody. I know Gerald has been having a bit of trouble with his hat. In fact, I think over the Easter weekend he may have gone back to dishcloths because he needed just something that was simple and not have had to think too much about what he was doing. So I just wanted to check in, touch base with how it was going, whether you were having any trouble with the ribbing, whether you were having any trouble with extra stitches by the time you were done the ribbing, when you were ready to do the rest of it. If you're noticing any holes in your work, sometimes that can be caused when you're doing ribbing, when you're going back and forth in between the knit and the purl stitch. If you don't take the yarn to the back of your work after a purl stitch before you take that knit stitch, you're going to end up with a yarn over, which is going to both add a stitch and it's going to put a little hole in your ribbing. So if you find at the end that you are actually you have more stitches than you're supposed to, check and see whether there's a little hole somewhere in your work right after a purl stitch, and chances are pretty good that you put an inadvertent yarn over there because you didn't take your yarn back to the back of your work before taking a knit stitch. So that was the one thing that I thought of. I wondered whether anyone needed help with the increase. If you do, I'm happy to do a really short little video on an increase probably tomorrow. Today is a really heavy teaching day for me. So whether or not you need help with the increase. The other thing is, do you need help with switching from circulars to DPNs? I think it's pretty straightforward, but you know, I've been knitting for a while, so sometimes it's hard for me to guess what problems of new knitters might be. The other thing is, once we have to do our decreases. So if you would like to see the type of decrease, it's pretty straightforward, but in case you're having trouble visualizing it in any way, please leave me a message below so that I have some idea of what you guys are either struggling with or you need to see a little more clearly. So I think that was it for the knitting. I think I'm about 5 or 6 inches up into my knitting. Mine's going to be 9 inches before I start my decreases, because I did an extra 2 inches for my roll-up brim, and I'm really happy with how mine is going. I'll try to have it on Friday. Maybe I'll show it in the screen when I do the Stitch With Me video. Okay, so I think that's it for me today. Once again, thank you so much for checking in and saying hi and how are you doing? Is everything okay? Everything is totally fine. I'm feeling a lot better today. Now, my family on the weekend, it was like the bubonic plague. So hopefully that isn't what's coming, because both my sister-in-law Kathy and my father ended up quite ill this past weekend. So fingers crossed that is not in our forthcoming future, because they were pretty sick, and so that would be very miserable. So fingers crossed. But I'll see you all on Friday for Stitch With Me. And Friday Off the Grid, party, party, party. Let's stitch those whips. So can't wait. Thanks, guys. See you Friday. Happy stitching.